Hello, welcome to Psychology Weekly, where we share fun psychology facts every Sunday. This Psychology Sunday, we are talking about the color magenta. Now, whether you know the color magenta from the Minecraft wool block variation like me, or you are just a regular smart human being, you know you perceive this color as a purplish pinkish color. But did you know that magenta doesn't actually exist? Let me explain. The color we call magenta is actually just a purplish red color that is between red and blue on the color wheel, which, to be fair, all colors reside on the color wheel. But the thing that makes magenta so different is that magenta isn't actually found on the visible spectrum of light, and there is no wavelength of light that corresponds to magenta. Now you may be wondering, what does all this mean? According to NASA, the visible light spectrum is the segment of the electromagnetic spectrum that the human eye can view. Or put more simply, the visible light spectrum is a range of wavelength that is called visible light. On regular circumstances, the human eye can detect wavelengths from 380 to 700 nanometers, and the human eye can identify these wavelengths to create color. We can perceive the color wavelengths red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet, and we can merge these wavelengths to create mixtures of colors. Our brain perceives magenta as a mixture of red and blue, which is why we can identify it as magenta, but since magenta isn't found on the visible spectrum of light, in technical terms,
It doesn't exist.
So, what is magenta? Well, to answer that, we need to know exactly how our eyes can receive the data we know as colors, and how it forwards that information to our brain. Our eyes have these sensors called the cones that can identify 3 different colors: red, green, and blue. And we can combine these 3 colors in different ways to create new colors. It's almost like how we combined crayon colors to make new colors in elementary school. For example, if you took a red crayon and scribbled around with it, and then scribbled on the red with a blue crayon, it would create a purple color. This is a basic explanation of what goes on in our brain when we see purple. Our eye receptors are signaling that we are seeing a combination of red and blue, but also senses that we are missing green, which then processes purple. So, with that out of the way, we can explain exactly what magenta is. Magenta is actually an illusion, an impossible color or a non-existent color that is the after effect of our eyes adjusting to bright light. It's like the effect of when you stand outside on a bright sunny day and then come inside after being outside for a while, and everything looks like a blue-greenish tint. We call these colors supercolors. We get this result because we can saturate the corresponding cones and block out other cone signals. So looking at the opposite color on the color wheel will, in result, produce a oversaturated color, an imaginary color, or a non-existent color. To prove this, I have set up an illusion for you guys to try out. If you stare at the white dot in the center of the circle for the full duration of the song I am going to play, you will see a color called super magenta when the circle shrinks. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and maybe subscribe with post notifications on so you can get notifications for every Psychology Sunday. And consider following Psychology Sunday on TikTok with the link in the description. See you next Sunday.